This is not normal for this much stuff to happen to one individual.
All the stuff we just mentioned, I maybe have encountered, like, actually now thinking about it, Morgan and I have had a fairly traumatic year in a couple of respects, but you're right.
Yeah.
Like, this type of stuff maybe happens to someone over a lifetime.
Yeah.
What's up, guys? How you doing? I'm Paul.
I'm Jacob.
Jacob, welcome to the show.
It's good to see you.
Today's topic, Logan Paul has been having, he's been having quite the time. I was going to say quite like the couple weeks, but Jacob, it feels like
I would say a year.
A year plus.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He's been taking some hits. It really does seem like God is trying to get Logan's attention using circumstances, because Logan has said some stuff. I feel like faith, Christianity, God has been like knocking at the door.
It has been the topic surrounding Logan Paul, whether it's actually people in his life or things that he's doing.
Circumstances or people. And the funny thing is, the people that I would maybe say God is using, the people that are speaking to Logan, are very imperfect and kind of unlikely. Yeah. So we're about to break down. We're about to play clips. We're going to be mentioning JiDion and playing some clips.
We got Janko,
the Jankonator.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Dylan.
May have some Dylan.
We may include some Dylan Danis because it's very relevant, and we're going to be bringing in how God could be working in all this. So get ready. It's good. Yeah, that's a good intro. That felt good. But first, guys, if you haven't subscribed, make sure you do so. We give commentary on culture to help you be in the world,
but of the word.
And you guys know what time it is, baby. You guys know what time it is, baby. Morgan, get in here. Get in here, Luca. Luca, you haven't been on the channel in a while, bro. Morgan, what time is it?
Merch time. Praying for the haters.
Guys, the merch has officially dropped as of today, right now. The website is up. It is ready. It's 80s and 90s themed. We got...
That's a cheer.
Thank you, bro. I'm excited too. We got In the World of the Word merch. We got Praying for the Haters merch.
Have Hope and Be Free shirts.
Link is below. I'll pop the link up here.
Patrons get 30% off.
Woo! You know it.
So go get your merch. We worked very hard on this stuff.
See you, Morgan. Morgan also will be back next week. All right, Jacob, I think a good place to start here, and then we're going to get to some very recent stuff. But it was the podcast when George Janko, rest in peace. Rest in peace from the Impaulsive podcast, not rest in peace in general.
No.
But he was on the podcast, and it felt like somewhat regularly George would talk about his Christian faith.
Yep.
And Logan would kind of, whether it was kind of passive aggressive,
throw a shot.
He'll throw,
knock him. You know,
he would knock him, and it kind of came to a crescendo.
Yeah.
You know the episode I'm talking about?
No.
I just am definitely questioning why we have to perpetuate a belief that is silly.
I genuinely, like, I know people that hate me, that treat me better about my faith than you, and you're my best friend.
It came to a crescendo, and it got a little bit ugly.
One that really hurt me is you told me I need a therapist because I believe in Jesus. That one hurt me.
No, I didn't. I said you need a therapist because Jesus isn't quite doing it for you, which is true.
No, you didn't. I don't want to stand down. No, you didn't.
You think I said you need a therapist because you believe in Jesus?
I checked you and I said, what did you just say to me? And you said, what did I say? And you stumbled. You're like, I don't know. What would I say? And then you fumbled. I'm not backing down.
I'm also recalling where he pretty much says, like, whatever, you guys do you, but I am in charge of my own life, and I'm kind of crushing it.
I run my show. No one. I've got to where I am now. It's not like anybody else is going to come in and change anything else, whether that be God or an individual.
And you know what? I get it. That's just a very secular, worldly mindset that tons of people have. But that really, man, like, there's a lot of pride there. There's a lot of pride.
I'll even say this, too. Even when all that was going on, when they started going back and forth on their podcast, there was a lot of fans. Logan's fans and George's fans were like, Logan, you know, George can be a great spiritual father, you know, kind of father to you, you know, loving on you. And a lot of people seemed like they were leaning more towards George's way. And so when Logan would say something, it would offend the fans, too, almost.
And it's like you think about their fans. I don't think of their fan base as being overly Christian, but it was like everyone, it seemed like,
it was
agreeing with George. And don't get us wrong, guys. Like, George, he cusses like a sailor. I wish that he'd get that together, man. And that's where we said at the beginning, like, there's some unlikely people, very imperfect, that God could absolutely use. Let's keep going. So this one podcast, it comes to a crescendo. And then what happens shortly after that, like literally the following weeks? Let's start going down the list.
Well, Logan gets food poisoned all of a sudden.
Oh, this is a nightmare.
threw up 40 times.
40 plus times, he says. Had $20,000 of cameras stole in Qatar.
Made some pretty out of line comments to George. The following 3 weeks have been the hardest period of my life. We were invited by Qatar. We landed in Qatar. Camera stripped from us. $20,000 camera. All right, no problem. Got violent food poisoning. Next day got alcohol poisoning. Our luggage was delayed, so we had no clothes to get to our events. Me and Mike got in a massive fight.
So all these things start happening and back to back to back.
Just like really
3 weeks.
Right. Really quickly after that, Logan gets back on the podcast. Part of me thinks that in his apology, it may have been he was just getting a ton of backlash.
Yeah,
But
he was.
But nevertheless, he gets back on. He seems visibly shaken. It seems, unless he's just really acting.
Qatar was the first time I felt the wrath of God. Ironically, I defamed Jesus and God, and I felt his wrath.
So there was those things, but then you also, there were several other things. He's in the WWE match, does that pretty sick move, I gotta admit. It went viral.
Yes.
And by the way, guys, Jacob, real quick, you guys have probably seen him. Been in 2 videos now.
2, yes.
Jacob's a big, for better or for worse. I'm not gonna say whether I support this habit of Jacob's, but he's very engaged in wrestling.
In WWE.
So Jacob, that move that Logan did, that was even for like,
that was wild.
So a really impressive move, but what ends up happening to Logan?
They think he tears his meniscus, ACL. It doesn't end up being all those things, but he just basically blows out his knee.
Not pretty. That's just a painful, humbling thing.
Actually, he was supposed to have a boxing match, I believe, sometime in that period, and so he didn't end up having that boxing match.
And you remember he broke his hand.
Yeah.
In punching a punching bag overseas. So just like literally, this guy that many would say he's at his peak specimen, he's taken on the world, but young, good-looking guy, but he keeps having these fairly dramatic setbacks. And then there was the CoffeeZilla video where it kind of confronted and exposed Logan for, what was that, like a crypto?
Yeah, I think something like that. Money.
Where they use, like scamming or cheating people out of money.
Dollars, I think.
It was a lot of money. Logan initially kind of rejected the claims, but then it looked like he kind of was like owned up and said, I'm going to pay back people, whatever.
Again, kind of that same scenario with the thing with George. You see all these people start giving him backlash, and he feels like, all right, well, now I really have to open up and be honest about it.
I don't know the details of that. So there was that one, and now we're about to get to the Dylan Danis situation. But before we do, Jacob, you mentioned a Bible verse that kind of came to your mind when discussing all this.
That was Isaiah chapter 30, verse 1. The Lord is talking to people in Isaiah's time. It's Judah and his leaders. And he says, woe to the rebellious children, declares the Lord, who execute a plan but not of mine, who make an alliance but not by my spirit, in order to add sin to sin. And so basically saying, if you execute a plan, or you
in order to add sin to sin,
man, word for word. And that's kind of a big thing for me, is just like, wow, is the plan that you think you have for your life really the Lord's will, or is it a part of your broken sin nature?
That's so good. It reminds me of the passage in James where it says, you say that today or tomorrow we will go to this or that city, carry on business and make money. You don't even know what you're going to do tomorrow. Like, your life is literally a vapor. You don't even know if you're going to be around tomorrow. And then you see someone like Logan who's telling George, like, I got my life. I'm grinding, and I'm finding success, and I'm in control. And it's just showing by Logan's setback after setback after setback how little control we really have over our lives.
Oh, yeah.
So this is about to get even more interesting. We're going to bring up the Dylan Danis stuff. I feel like we kind of got to bring that up. Before we do, Gideon, this is something that's very interesting. Old Gideon. Are you familiar with Gideon, Jacob?
I'm familiar with Gideon. I am.
What do you think of that man?
He's a character. That's what I would describe him as. It's kind of in the same way with George, as his language. I've listened to even the video we're about to talk about. Some of the language he uses is just kind of like, But again, it's this idea of God using these imperfect people. The phrase that comes to my mind is God uses destruction for his glory. Being able to see that in the midst of this Logan Paul issue.
And we know God used pagan kings to carry out his purposes. Yeah. Hopefully Gideon and George are a little further along to where they're not technically pagan kings. Gideon in particular, like you already said, he's rough around the edges. But we're about to play some clips from a video that he released where, did you see this when it first came out, Jacob? I don't know where it popped up, but it's gone pretty big for those who are like into the YouTube world. What's it called, Jacob, where there's like a fight about to happen and they square up before the days before the fight.
It's the press conference.
Okay.
Basically.
Wasn't this at the press conference?
This was at the press conference. Yes, this was at Gideon was there, basically front row. What we're gonna show is afterwards, after everything happens.
So yes, I saw it pretty quick. Gideon is like live streaming.
Yeah, he did.
Gideon.
Oh, you're okay.
Well, no, I'm not talking about the seed exchange.
Okay.
Which,
this is the other one.
There was a seed exchange. We may get into that a little bit, but ultimately the most recent one, they're kind of walking past each other after this press conference. Gideon he said some stuff, just being kind of goofy, a little bit trolling, and then they start getting into it, a verbal altercation, and from that altercation, it seemed like, ooh, things aren't super cool between them right now. No. Gideon hops on his channel, one of his channels, and gives like a spilling the tea of what happened during that altercation, but then Gideon goes on to say, guys, like, here's some stuff that I texted Logan after the crap really hit the fan for him a little while back. And I found, and you listen to these clips, right?
I did, yeah.
Like, really interesting.
Yeah.
The stuff that he texted Logan, and it actually kind of surprised me because of how deep he got. So we're going to play some of those clips.
And you know what I do to try to plant a seed, to try to help Logan amend from his ways? I call Logan up. And I was like, yo, Logan, man, I see everything you've been going through. And he's like, yeah, man, I know, bro. It's been crazy. And I was like, yo, Logan, man, you know, it's ever since you dissed God. I told him this. Chat, I put this on the Bible. I told him this. All this stuff happened ever since you talked bad about God. I told him God is a jealous God.
So we're about to get to one or two more clips of Gideon responding in this video. That's
big time stuff.
Pretty good so
That's
far.
bold stuff. It seems like he's not scared to be open, to let him know how he feels.
Gideon, for as many imperfections and sin issues he has, that I like, come on, Gideon, take this stuff seriously, turn from those things. But nevertheless, like you just said, he sounds more bold. He sounds legit.
I was telling Logan, I said, bro, you're going through a storm right now. And this is Jesus telling you in the nicest way possible, without physically harming you, turn to me. And I said, Logan, it's time for you to turn to God. He was like, I know, man. You know, I've been praying. You know, he was like, you're right, dog. You're right. And I wasn't sure if he was taking it serious or not, but I had to plant that seed in him.
Telling you in the nicest way possible, like, turn to me.
Yeah.
In the midst of you going through it.
Again, I do think God uses people. I think he uses circumstances to get your attention, to allow you to seek him better.
How can these setbacks over and over and over and over again not cause you to cry out to God?
We do know that he at least admitted and was like, hey, God kind of did this and that to me. Not going to say exactly what, because he used some certain language.
But just talking about God has like kicked him in the gut, ultimately.
Man, he's really took it at me. And so he's acknowledged that fact. There's some stuff going on that I feel like I really don't have any control over, and I can't beat this on my own.
It really takes a hard heart and a proud man to go through so many hard things and continue not to turn to God. Soften your hearts. Don't continue to reject God over and over again like the Israelites kept doing. They kept falling back into their stuff. So then I feel like it's kind of crescendoed in this Dylan Danis situation. So apparently they have a fight coming up. Do you know when the fight is?
I don't know when the fight is. I feel like if the press conference was recent,
it's got to be.
It would be in the next 2 weeks.
I think it maybe is October. Maybe like at the beginning of October. But anyway, what is it? Is it MMA? Is it boxing?
It's boxing.
They got a fight coming up. And you guys, if you like pay attention to this stuff, you know this better than any of us here. Leading up to a fight, it's almost like they want to build hype for the fight. So they find ways to dig at each other. But what Dylan has done, and from my just little...
Let me say this real quick.
Go ahead, man.
So out of all the fights, you know, the lead-ups, build-ups to all the fights I've seen, this is probably the most harsh, worst I've ever seen somebody attack somebody.
So that's interesting hearing you say that, because it's gotten ugly before.
Yeah, but I mean, this is rough.
Well, the fact that Logan, and congrats to Logan, he got engaged, what, a month ago, several weeks ago?
Yeah.
You know, that's cool. Marriage is an awesome thing. But yeah, he gets engaged, but it's like, you don't have any time, Logan. This is just another hit to the gut, if you will. He didn't have any time to celebrate his engagement to this Victoria's Secret model, because suddenly Dylan decides, here's what I'm going to do to create hype leading up to our fight. I'm going to, and we're not going to get into, you know, crazy details. He gets on his Twitter, and literally every single day he starts posting pictures of Logan's fiance, this model, with other guys, whether she's just...
or certain things that she's said.
And again, I don't really know the details. I know the basics. And it gets more and more explicit to where it really is portraying her as you guys catch the drift.
Yeah, you know where we're going.
So there's now been this massive movement of, Logan, you're about to marry a extremely promiscuous woman.
Has a history of doing some certain things that probably I would say your average person would say to those things, you know?
I don't know where she lands right now, but Dylan Danis has been using this to dig at Logan, and literally it's been relentless.
And again, I want to say this too.
Go ahead.
We say all of this, everything that we're saying. And I know you would agree with this, we can only judge people by the fruit that they bear, not by their heart. I don't know where these people's hearts are, but by the fruit that they are bearing, I feel comfortable enough to say that some of these things that she has done, she has said, that are being posted are just kind of, you know, I would be cautious of those things.
Hopefully she changes. And that's the tough thing is, let's assume that, and we don't know, but that she maybe is like, okay, I am now going to give all my affection to Logan. Well, all this stuff from her past, guys, your past can come back to haunt you. It just can, especially in the public arena. Her past is just being blasted. Billboards. I think Dylan Danis has grown to like 2 million followers on Twitter. He's just like skyrocketed. Yeah. There's so much attention on this. And Logan is bearing kind of the brunt of this. Yeah. Of having to just be faced with, now the whole world is seeing me about to marry this, at least formerly and maybe currently, we don't know, but extremely promiscuous woman. That's been all the news. So that's just the, again, crescendo latest of, he's been taking hits. Logan, in the midst of literally our life's rock bottoms, those are really the perfect opportunities.
Oh my goodness.
To cry out to God.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the greatest thing about it is he's waiting with his arms wide open. He's there.
He is. He's waiting for Logan's fiance, who, if she'll turn from her sins and cry out to Jesus.
How beautiful would that be?
Dude, God is saying, come to me. I'm waiting with open arms like the father with the prodigal son, ready to put that ring on your finger and the robe upon my back.
Woo!
Throw your arms around me and say, you are my son, my daughter. Don't forget. He's ready for Logan. He's ready for Logan's fiance. He's ready for Dylan. But this video is focusing on Logan. Logan, what's it going to take? What's it going to take? And JiDion kind of mentioned, like,
how much more?
How much more, Logan? How much more? JiDion mentioned, he wasn't totally sure if Logan was being sincere. Logan, let all of this cause you to cry out to God, who will welcome you back with open arms. What a testimony, dude. What a testimony.
Amen, brother.
Guys, comment below. What are your thoughts on this situation? I feel like we just talked about a lot.
Oh, yeah, it is a lot. And again, you got to think this is over a span of a year. And so
a year, maybe even a little longer than a year. But yeah, it's not that long, though.
Even the fact with it being a year, this is not normal for this much stuff to happen to one individual.
All the stuff we just mentioned, I maybe have encountered actually now thinking about it, I've had kind of Morgan and I have had a fairly traumatic year in a couple of respects, but you're right.
Yeah.
Like this type of stuff maybe happens to someone over a lifetime, and he's had it happen.
Half of the stuff I've never,
Dude, comment below and let's keep the conversation going. Just let us know kind of where you land on all this and what are your main takeaways. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up to have my boy Jacob on the channel. Jacob, can we get you back on, my friend?
Absolutely.
Yes.
I love this.
And yeah, I must say, dude.
Uh-oh.
You are rocking that shirt.
Oh, man.
You are rocking that shirt. Well, let's see the sleeves again.
Sleeves?
Oh, yeah. Ooh.
What is this?
It's retro, baby.
Can we see it?
I like that. Guys, get yourself some merch. The link is below. Hot off the shelves. Hot off the press. We love you guys. Be blessed. We will see you again very soon. Morgan will be back next week. Get ready. Have hope.
And be free.
Bro, you just crushed it.
Did I really?
You literally were so natural.
Really?
Yeah.
You think?
Oh, bro. You got... Hey guys, as you may have noticed, we get very few brand deals. A big reason for that is because we make unashamedly Christian content.
We've had brand deals taken away from us because people who don't like us reach out to them and demand that they cancel us.
Due to the fact that we stand on what the Bible says and we don't conform to culture.
Which is why our patrons, the names you see here, are so important.
You guys really are the lifeblood of this ministry. We could not do it without you all.
If you guys believe in this content and you want to partner with us on Patreon, go to patreon.com/Paulandmorganshow or click the link in the description.
Go team. That was the one.